Ethan was a man who lived by his principles: work hard, love fiercely, and provide endlessly for his family. At years old, he was the lead designer at a reputable tech firm in Dallas, Texas. His days were packed with brainstorming sessions, client meetings, and tight deadlines that never seemed to end. But Ethan never complained. He took pride in his work, seeing it as a pathway to give his wife, Megan, and their Logan the life they deserved. Megan was the kind of woman who could make anyone feel at ease. She had an infectious laugh and an effortless charm that seemed to draw people to her. Ethan often told her she could light up the darkest room with her smile. They had been married for nearly years. Though the everyday hustle sometimes wore them down, Ethan believed their connection was solid. Logan was a bundle of energy and curiosity, the heartbeat of their home. He adored recording his adventures on his small camera, narrating stories with the excitement of a budding filmmaker. Whether it was documenting his favorite action figures or attempting to interview the family's golden retriever, Max, Logan's creativity was boundless. "Hey, Dad, want to see my new video?" Logan would say, holding his camera up to Ethan. And no matter how busy he was, Ethan always stopped to watch, laughing at his son's lively commentary. But recently, Ethan noticed that Logan had been spending more time on his phone than he was comfortable with. One evening, while working in his home office, an idea struck him. It was time to set up some limits on Logan's device. He wanted to ensure his son stayed safe online while still enjoying his hobbies. Ethan picked up the phone from his son's desk. As he scrolled through a folder labeled Logan's movies, he couldn't help but smile at the thumbnails. One showed Logan reviewing a new superhero figurine, while another captured Max chasing his tail. Ethan clicked on a few and chuckled at the playful narration. But then his eyes landed on a video file with no title. Its thumbnail was blurry, showing the corner of their living room. The date on the file indicated it was recorded just a week ago. Ethan clicked on it, expecting more of Logan's innocent antics. The screen flickered to life, and there was Logan, grinning mischievously into the camera. His eyes sparkled as he leaned closer to whisper, "Hey guys, today I found out something crazy. Mom's friend Brandon came over again, but it's a secret. Mom said I shouldn't tell Dad, or he'd get upset. But maybe I'll tell you more if you like this video." Ethan's stomach dropped. His first reaction was disbelief. Kids Logan's age love to exaggerate or invent wild stories. It had to be another one of his imaginative games. Still, Ethan felt a strange unease creeping in. He clicked out of the video and noticed another, recorded the same day. This one had a slightly longer runtime, his pulse quickening as he pressed play. The video opened with Logan sitting by the window, camera in hand. He zoomed in on the driveway where Megan was getting into her car. "Here's Mom leaving again," Logan said in a mock dramatic tone. "She said she's meeting Brandon at that fancy place. What's it called?" "Oh yeah, the Sapphire Lounge. She promised me ice cream if I don't tell anyone." Ethan's heart pounded as he watched. The Sapphire Lounge was one of the most exclusive spots in downtown Dallas, known for its luxurious atmosphere and private dining areas. Megan had mentioned running errands that day, but nothing about dinner plans or anyone named Brandon. Ethan stared at the screen, his mind racing. He wanted to dismiss it as just another one of Logan's playful fantasies, but something about his son's tone struck him differently this time. It wasn't the lighthearted humor he usually displayed. It felt deliberate, almost calculated. The mention of Brandon and the Sapphire Lounge clung to Ethan's thoughts like a splinter he couldn't shake. The next few days passed in a haze of suspicion. Ethan began noticing subtle changes in Megan's behavior. Normally talkative and warm, she now seemed distracted. Her phone was always within reach, and she'd occasionally smile at her screen, quickly locking it whenever Ethan walked into the room. Her mood shifted unpredictably, cheerful and upbeat one moment, tense and irritable the next. She also began running errands more frequently, often at unusual hours. Ethan tried to convince himself that it was all a coincidence, that his mind was playing tricks on him. But Logan's videos replayed in his head like an unwanted tune he couldn't silence. As Megan prepared to leave the house, Ethan asked casually, "Where are you headed?" "Just picking up a few things for dinner," she said with a quick smile. "Need me to come along?" he offered, forcing a nonchalant tone. "No, it's fine," Megan replied, already halfway out the door. "I'll be quick." Ethan watched her drive away, his unease deepening. It was unlike her to turn down company. Ethan realized he couldn't ignore his GP feeling any longer. He reached out to a private investigator, Jeff Landry, a meticulous professional with a reputation for uncovering even the most well-hidden truths. "I just need to know," Ethan said during their initial meeting, his voice tight with emotion. "If I'm wrong, I can live with that. But if I'm not," he trailed off, unable to finish the thought. Jeff nodded understandingly. "We'll proceed discreetly. You'll have answers soon." Over the next 2 weeks, Jeff began his surveillance. He followed Megan during her errands, tracking her movements across Dallas. On one particular evening, Jeff observed her pulling into the valet lot of the Sapphire Lounge. She stepped out of the car, dressed in a sleek black dress Ethan hadn't seen before. Moments later, a man joined her, a tall, well-dressed figure with sharp features and an air of confidence. Jeff's investigation revealed the man's identity: Brandon Carter, a year-old restaurant investor known in Dallas for his charm and flashy lifestyle. Over the following days, Jeff pieced together a pattern. Megan and Brandon met regularly, often at upscale locations like the Sapphire Lounge. After dinner, they drive to a luxurious condo near the city center, where Brandon rented a private unit. Jeff documented everything: photographs of Megan and Brandon laughing over drinks, holding hands as they walked through the condo lobby, and even snippets of their conversations recorded in public spaces. The evidence was damning. When Jeff handed the file to Ethan, his worst fears were confirmed. Ethan sat in his car, staring at the photographs in disbelief. Each image felt like a punch to the gut. He couldn't reconcile the woman in these photos with the Megan he had spent the last years building a life with. As Ethan tried to process the betrayal, Logan unknowingly added another layer to the story. "Hey, Dad," he said one afternoon, holding up his camera. "Guess what I filmed today?" Ethan's stomach tightened. "What is it, buddy?" he asked, forcing a smile. Logan pulled up a video and hit play. It opened with the boy narrating, his camera trained on the street outside their house. "Look, that's Mom's car, and that guy Brandon was here again. He had a box with him, and they were laughing. I think it's a present. Maybe it's for me." Ethan watched, his jaw tightening, as the video showed Brandon stepping out of his sleek silver car. He carried a small, carefully wrapped gift box as he walked toward the house. Moments later, Megan appeared, greeting him warmly at the door. Logan's camera caught them laughing together before stepping inside. Ethan clenched his fists, trying to maintain his composure. "Logan," he asked gently, "did they say anything while they were here?" "Not really," Logan said, shrugging. "Mom just said it was grown-up stuff, and she'd tell me later. Can I keep the video? It's really cool." Ethan managed to nod, but his thoughts were already elsewhere. Megan had always insisted on maintaining boundaries around their home, saying it was a sacred space. Now, the sight of Brandon standing in their entryway made Ethan feel like an intruder in his own life. That evening, as Megan sat in the living room, Ethan broke his silence. "I saw Logan's video," he said evenly. Megan looked up, startled. "What video?" "The one with Brandon. He's been to the house." Her expression faltered for a moment before she recovered. "Ethan, it's not what you think. Brandon's just a friend. He was dropping off something for a fundraiser I'm helping with." "A fundraiser?" Ethan repeated, his voice tinged with disbelief. "At our house, without mentioning it to me." Megan bristled. "I didn't think I needed your permission to have a friend drop something off. Are we really going to do this, Ethan? You're reading way too much into things." But Ethan wasn't convinced. The doubts that had been simmering for weeks boiled over, threatening to spill out. Still, he held back. He wasn't ready to confront her with the evidence just yet. Each moment with Megan feeling more like a charade. He couldn't bring himself to confront her outright, knowing the conversation would only devolve into denial or deflection. Instead, he focused on planning his next steps. One evening, while Megan was out, Ethan sat down with Logan. The boy was sprawled on the couch, playing a racing game on his tablet. "Hey, Logan," Ethan said, sitting beside him. "Can we talk for a minute?" Logan paused the game, looking up at his dad. "Sure. What's up?" Ethan hesitated, searching for the right words. "Remember the videos you made? The ones about Mom and Brandon?" Logan's face froze for a split second. Then he quickly looked back at his tablet. Oh, those? I was just pretending, Dad. You know, like I always do. Ethan leaned forward, keeping his tone calm. But you said some pretty specific things, buddy. About the gift, the ice cream, and skipping homework. Did Mom tell you to say those things? Logan's shoulders stiffened, his small hands fidgeting with the tablet. I don't remember, he muttered. Can I go back to my game now? Ethan's heart sank. Logan, I'm not upset. I want to understand. Who is Brandon? Do you know him? The boy set the tablet down and avoided his father's gaze. I don't want to talk about it, he mumbled. Ethan sighed, leaning back in defeat. It was clear that Logan had been coached, his natural playfulness turned into a shield for Megan's secrets. Ethan's frustration boiled, but he reminded himself that Logan was just a child, an innocent bystander in a situation far beyond his comprehension. I'm not mad, Logan, Ethan said softly. I love you, buddy. Always. You know that, right? Logan nodded, but his eyes stayed glued to the floor. Ethan wanted to say more, to reassure his son that none of this was his fault, but the words caught in his throat. The betrayal had fractured something deep within him, leaving him feeling powerless. After weeks of silent turmoil, Ethan made up his mind. He couldn't stay. The weight of Megan's deception was suffocating, and he needed space to think clearly. Leaving wasn't an act of cowardice. It was a way to preserve what was left of himself. One night, after Logan was asleep and Megan was out again, Ethan sat down at the dining table with a blank sheet of paper. For a moment, he stared at it, unsure how to begin. Then, with a deep breath, he started writing. Megan, I know about Brandon. I know what's been happening. I can't pretend anymore. You made your choices, and now I'm making mine. I'm leaving. I'll make sure Logan has everything he needs, but for now, I need time to heal. I hope you can respect that. He placed the note on the kitchen counter, packed a small suitcase, and drove off into the night. Ethan drove aimlessly for hours, the city lights fading into the darkness of the Texas countryside. Eventually, he stumbled upon a small town called Pine Haven, nestled in the rolling hills about an hour outside of Dallas. It was the kind of place where everyone seemed too preoccupied with their own lives to notice a newcomer. He found a modest apartment in a quiet complex and began the slow, painful process of rebuilding his life. The first few days were unbearable. Ethan barely slept, his thoughts consumed by what he had left behind. He missed Logan fiercely, but the idea of returning to that house, to Megan, felt impossible. When Megan returned home and found Ethan's note, her initial reaction was disbelief. She thought it was a dramatic gesture meant to guilt her into changing her behavior. But as she read the words again, the reality began to sink in. Ethan wasn't coming back. Her first instinct was to call him, but when he answered, his tone was cold and distant, like a man drained of everything that wants to find him. What is this, Ethan? Megan demanded. You can't just leave like this. What do you mean you know about Brandon? I mean exactly that. Ethan replied, his voice steady. I know what's been happening. I saw the videos Logan made. I hired a private investigator, Megan. I know. Megan froze, her mind racing. Logan? You're seriously going to believe the nonsense our kid makes up? He's just playing around. Ethan's voice sharpened. This isn't about Logan. It's about you. About the lies, the secrets. I can't do this anymore. So, you're punishing me by walking away? Megan snapped. By abandoning your son. What kind of father does that? I haven't abandoned him, Ethan said quietly. I'll make sure he's taken care of. But I need to step away for my own sanity. Megan's voice cracked with anger. You think you can just vanish and leave me with all the responsibility? That's not how this works, Ethan. If you're leaving, fine, but I'm filing for divorce. And I'll make sure you pay for this. Ethan sighed, the fight drained out of him. Do what you need to do, Megan. I won't stop you. The divorce papers arrived at Ethan's new apartment less than a week later. The documents demanded full custody of Logan, the majority of their shared assets, and a significant alimony payment based on Ethan's prior salary. Megan's argument was clear. Ethan had abandoned the family, leaving her to bear the responsibility alone. Ethan read the demands with a mix of anger and disbelief. He had left to avoid further conflict, not to shirk his responsibilities. But Megan's accusations painted him as an absentee father, a narrative he couldn't let stand. Determined to fight for a fair resolution, Ethan contacted his lawyer, Adam Grayson, a seasoned family attorney known for his relentless advocacy. During their first meeting, Adam listened carefully as Ethan explained the situation. Then he leaned back in his chair and spoke with measured confidence. "Megan is using your departure as leverage," Adam said. "We'll fight this, and the evidence of her infidelity will work in your favor. But I have to ask, do you want to request a DNA test for Logan? It's a delicate matter, but it can strengthen our case if she tries to twist the narrative." Ethan's heart sank at the suggestion. "No," he said firmly. "Logan is my son, and I won't put him through that. Megan's betrayal doesn't change that." Adam nodded, respecting Ethan's decision. "Fair enough. We'll focus on proving your commitment to Logan and exposing Megan's actions for what they are." When Megan learned that Ethan had hired a lawyer, she was taken aback. She had expected him to quietly accept her terms, as he had always avoided conflict during their marriage. But Adam's approach was anything but passive. He submitted evidence of Megan's relationship with Brandon, including photographs, recorded conversations, and details of her frequent visits to his condo. The documentation painted a clear picture of infidelity and dishonesty, undermining her claims of being a responsible and dedicated parent. During one tense courtroom exchange, Megan's confidence began to falter. Adam presented evidence of Megan bringing Brandon into the family home, which violated the unspoken boundaries of their marriage. The judge raised an eyebrow as the photographs were presented. "Ms. Carter," the judge asked, "can you explain these visits to your home?" Megan stammered. "Brandon was helping with a charity fundraiser. It wasn't anything inappropriate." Adam pounced on the inconsistency. "Your Honor, the same man Ms. Carter claims was merely helping with a fundraiser is also seen here accompanying her to a private condo on multiple occasions." The evidence speaks for itself. Megan's face turned pale, her once carefully crafted image crumbling under the weight of her own actions. As the custody battle unfolded, Megan doubled down on her narrative that Ethan had abandoned Logan. She argued that his sudden departure was proof of instability, making her the more reliable parent. Adam countered with a calm but compelling argument. He presented evidence of Ethan's deep involvement in Logan's life before the separation, attending school events, helping with homework, and fostering Logan's creative hobbies. Adam also highlighted how Ethan had left to avoid escalating conflict, not out of neglect. "We also have reason to believe Ms. Carter manipulated Logan into keeping secrets," Adam added. "This kind of behavior is damaging to a child's emotional development." Ethan sat quietly as the judge listened, his heart heavy but hopeful. He knew the truth was on his side, and now it was up to the court to see it. After weeks of hearings, the court issued its decision. Joint custody was granted, but with a notable adjustment. Logan was given the freedom to choose where he wanted to live and for how long, an arrangement designed to prioritize his emotional stability. Assets and finances, the house was sold, with the proceeds split equally, reflecting Megan's infidelity and her ability to support herself. Logan's well-being. Both parents were instructed to prioritize Logan's needs and shield him from future conflict. When Ethan heard the ruling, he felt a mix of relief and sadness. He had won a fair outcome, but the emotional toll of the battle weighed heavily on him. Logan initially stayed with Megan, but the tension in her home became palpable. Her relationship with Brandon had ended abruptly after the trial. Brandon, uninterested in the fallout of her divorce, disappeared from her life without a trace. Megan's emotional state deteriorated, and her once vibrant personality dulled into resentment and isolation. Logan, sensing the change, began visiting Ethan more frequently. At first, he was cautious, unsure of what life with his dad in Pine Haven would be like. Created a warm and welcoming environment. He spent hours helping Logan with schoolwork, watching his videos, and encouraging his creative endeavors. Eventually, Logan made his decision. "Dad," he said one evening, sitting at the kitchen table, "can I stay with you? Like all the time?" Ethan's heart swelled. "Of course, buddy. This is your home, too." Hearing about Logan's decision was a wake-up call for Megan. She had already been struggling with guilt and loneliness, and now the realization that her son preferred living with Ethan pushed her deeper into despair. For weeks, she withdrew from everyone, turning to alcohol to numb her pain. When Ethan learned of Megan's worsening condition from mutual acquaintances, he wrestled with his emotions. He had every reason to distance himself, but he couldn't ignore the impact it was having. For his son's sake, Ethan decided to intervene. With the help of a few relatives, Ethan organized an intervention. Though Megan initially resisted, she eventually agreed to enter a rehabilitation program. It was a grueling process, but over time, Megan began to heal. The rehabilitation program was a turning point for Megan. It forced her to confront not only her addiction, but the choices that had brought her to such a low point. Therapy sessions were grueling, but slowly, she began to piece herself back together. She reflected on her infidelity, the dissolution of her marriage, and how her actions had impacted Logan. Ethan, while hesitant at first, decided to support her recovery, not for her sake but for Logan's. He arranged for Megan to have regular phone calls with her son and occasional supervised visits. These interactions became a source of motivation for Megan. Each conversation with Logan reminded her of what she had to fight for. Meanwhile, life in Pine Haven flourished for Ethan and Logan. The quiet town provided a sense of stability they both desperately needed. Ethan's design studio began gaining traction, attracting a mix of local businesses and remote clients. The creative outlet helped Ethan find purpose again. Logan, now fully settled, began to thrive. With his dad's encouragement, he started exploring new hobbies alongside his love for filming. He joined a local robotics club, where he made new friends and discovered a passion for building and designing gadgets. Victoria, Ethan's colleague at the studio, became an integral part of their lives. Her warm, easygoing nature made her a favorite of Logan's. She often joined their weekend outings, whether it was hiking in the nearby hills or experimenting with Logan's latest video ideas. Over time, her relationship with Ethan deepened. One evening, as the three of them sat around a campfire in their backyard, Logan turned to Victoria. "Do you think my videos are good enough to show more people?" Victoria smiled. "Absolutely. You have a great eye for storytelling. If you ever want, I can help you polish them up and maybe even post them online." With their guidance, Logan took the leap and launched his own video channel. It started small, but his creativity and genuine personality quickly attracted viewers. Positive comments from strangers gave him a newfound confidence, and soon, Logan's laughter filled their home more than ever before. Months after completing her rehabilitation program, Megan began rebuilding her life. She reached out to Ethan, not to rekindle their past, but to apologize. "I know I hurt you," she said during one of their conversations. "And I know I hurt Logan too. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want to do better for him." Ethan appreciated her sincerity, but kept his boundaries clear. Logan's happiness is what matters most. If you're committed to being there for him, I'll support that. Megan also began attending regular therapy sessions, focusing on repairing her relationship with Logan. She approached it slowly, knowing trust wouldn't return overnight. When Logan visited her one weekend, she surprised him with a scrapbook filled with photos and memories of their time together before the divorce. "I made this for you," she said hesitantly, "so you always know how much I love you." Logan flipped through the pages, his eyes lighting up. "Thanks, Mom. It's really cool." It was a small gesture, but it marked the beginning of a new connection between them. For Ethan, life felt brighter than it had in years. His studio continued to grow, and his bond with Logan was stronger than ever. Victoria had become a steady presence in their lives, and their relationship, while still new, was filled with promise. One weekend, during a community event in Pine Haven, Ethan and Logan set up a small booth to showcase Logan's videos and some of Ethan's design work. The booth attracted a surprising amount of attention, with locals praising Logan's creativity. As the event wound down, Logan turned to his dad. "You know, I think this is the happiest I've been in a long time." Ethan smiled, pulling his son into a hug. "Me too, buddy. Me too." Megan, too, found her footing. Though she would never fully regain the life she had before, she carved out a new one. She found work at a local nonprofit, channeling her energy into helping others rebuild their lives. The experience gave her a sense of purpose and a chance to atone for her past mistakes. She and Ethan maintained a cordial co-parenting relationship, ensuring Logan felt supported by both parents. They worked together to shield Logan from further conflict. Years later, on Logan's birthday, the family gathered in Pine Haven for a small celebration. Megan joined Ethan, Victoria, and a few of Logan's friends for the occasion. The atmosphere was light and joyful, with Logan proudly showing off his latest video project, a mini-documentary about Pine Haven's wildlife. As the evening wound down, Megan approached Ethan. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" Ethan asked. "For giving me a chance to fix things." "For Logan." Ethan nodded. "We're all just trying to do our best. Logan deserves that." The two shared a brief, understanding smile before turning back to the laughter and chatter of the party. Though their paths had diverged, the love they shared for Logan had brought them to a place of mutual respect. For Ethan, Logan, and even Megan, the future was filled with possibility, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the healing power of time.